So how does that experience compare when you look at some dogmatic religion interpretations that God is angry, God is judgmental?
Yeah, after my experience, I spent a lot of time looking for the spirituality in many faiths. I wish I could say all faiths, but I haven't got there yet. I'm working on it. And I did see a lot of anger, and I saw in a lot of some of the dogmatic parts of our religions, I saw where they used fear to try to teach us maybe a morality or something. And I think that that may have been appropriate in an earlier time. I don't necessarily feel that it's appropriate today as much. Although I'm trying to be tolerant of others in their path. So there may be some people that are still getting benefit from having fear teach them a certain morality, you know. I have more problem with the fear that religion uses than the anger, because I really feel like they use fear to try to control us to believe a certain aspect. But when you distill the fear out, that's where the underlying spirituality exists within religions, I believe. And if you really look past that to the core, to the root of what the teaching is, then you can distill out that spirituality. Because besides Christianity, and when you start to look at more of the Eastern beliefs, they use a lot of structure. And sometimes fear as well. They have some deities that are very fearful looking and fierce, and they're going to drive away the unpleasant parts of our humanness, you know. And then they have beautiful emanations or goddesses of compassion, you know, that are to imbue us with those more positive elements. And I think, and they're looking at the spirituality from within, whereas Western religion looks at spirituality as an external source. And I think they're both got it off a little bit, you know, because yes, I believe we have a bit of that essence within us, but it also does exist, you know, out there. So they're both right and they're both wrong a little bit. In my experience within the light, because I know that a part of my true being is in the light, and a part of that light is within this physicality. So I did not experience any anger. In my life review, I experienced a lot of things that I was judging. Me, the humanness that came along with me, that I hadn't quite shed yet. Because I think dying is a process. And I think when we reintegrate into that light, some of that it takes a while to distill some of our attitude and leave it behind. I think we bring some of it with us for a while. And I was judging my life's experiences. But my soul family wasn't. There was no judgment in this light. And I was ashamed that they had to experience some of the unsavory things that I had done in my life. But they weren't. They weren't judging it. They were experiencing it. And they were just the opportunity to experience my life with me was joyous for them. The good and the bad. And that taught me a lot. And that's another component of the tolerance that helped me to learn tolerance, was the fact that they weren't judging this. It was me that was judging this. And so I think that in this physicality of being human, I think that we've distilled some of that judgment into our religions and created a lot of this dogma. But when you strip that away, I think that the pure lessons of the spirituality, if you can distill away that judgment and the fear, and I think that's where the fear and hatred come from, and the competitiveness my belief is stronger than your belief, and so now we're going to clash over that, you know, or that my religion is older than yours, so it has more of the root text. You know, I think that is just so ridiculous. You know, I mean, because when you really start to look, I've studied a few religions, and when you start to look at them, you start to see a lot of the commonalities. That when you strip away the text and look at the pure spirituality, that they have a lot of shared root spirituality between them. But we tend to get caught up in the words. We tend to get caught up in interpretations of it. And if someone, just like I was before my near-death experience, when I was a little less tolerant, if you didn't agree with my interpretation, then you were wrong. And I don't know. And I used to think that maybe I was better than other people. And there is no better and there is no worse. It's just perception is a good word. We tend to perceive things in certain ways, and it's not necessarily. And we're human and we're fallible. You know, that's part of being human, and not beating ourselves up for that fallibleness, and not beating up our neighbors because they're fallible, because they're not going to be able to live up to our expectations. You know, so I see a lot of, when I was in the light, no judgment, no hatred, only love. Here in life, it's easy to get angry. It's easy to learn hatred. If someone's been bad and suppressed you all your life, you're going to be angry at them. And it can be something that's very difficult to shed unless you've had some sort of spiritual connection, something that's going to allow you to let it go. I think a near-death experience strips all those veils that we've built up, all those walls that we create in life, and it strips it away from you, you know, and it allows you to see your true being, who you truly are. And it's pretty powerful for a lot of experiencers. You know?